Hello.
Hi,
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm great. Nice to have you on. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
We can go ahead and hop into it and get things started. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our guest for today, Michae Allen, a entrepreneur extraordinaire that does quite a few things and is a really, really dope entrepreneur. So we are gonna kind of jump in here, talk a little bit about what Michae does, some of the experiences while being an entrepreneur, and then just to kind of talk about you personally and get to know you, let the people get to know you as well. So yeah, we can go ahead and get started. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, so yeah, my name is Michae Allen. I am the only plus size certified photographer on the planet, and that's kind of where I started. That's like probably the beginning of who I am as an entrepreneur and an artist. I put a lot of energy and time and practice and research and thought into working with plus size women. Like my niche as a photographer is plus size boudoir, because I think everybody has the right to feel sexy, and yeah, indeed. And my other direction is I am the owner of umbrellastock.com, which is the largest Black owned and Black focused stock imagery website in the world, because again, if you're a business owner and you've ever tried to find images of Black people, just lifestyle stuff, it's kind of hard sometimes, and I want to resolve that issue, because we live life and we do things, and you should be able to find a Black person typing or surfing or whatever. You should be able to find that and use that for your blog or your website, or any brochures you have. You should have that content just like everyone else.
I definitely agree with that. There's so many times that I've had to get online and literally search and search and search and search and scour and go through changing up my search information on several occasions because I cannot find a Black person doing what it was that I was looking for. So I think that's a really, really dope thing to have available to us, and I really think a lot of people don't even consider that as a thing that we need.
Right, because you go for the major sites. You go to some place like Shutterstock, you know what I mean, or Getty, because hey, they got all the money. They're waving the flag, so you figure, oh, okay, you sell stock imagery. I'll go there. You go there, they don't have what you want, So the move socially, what a lot of people do is they put pressure on these companies. Like, for instance, Victoria's Secret, right? They were like, oh, I'm a plus size woman and Victoria's Secret doesn't have, lingerie that fits for me. So they push and they fight with Victoria's Secret to do it. Why? Just go to kellyscloset.net. That's what she does. You know what I mean? So instead of trying to force these companies that don't care about you to give you what you want, go to the companies that are specifically saying, I want to give you what you want. And that's all I'm here for. That's where you need to be. And that's with anything,
Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of us don't realize, that there are sites out there for us. There are things or people that focus on bringing exactly what we as Black people need, or the things that we desire to see. And yet we still try to force other people or other companies when we know they're not going to shift. They're not going to shift in any shape, form, or fashion in order to fit us. But we as Black people don't often stop to realize that we're still spending our money with these companies. We're still doing everything as normal, but yet we can't get exactly what we need from them in return. And I think that's kind of funky. I think that's kind of
Right.
funky all the way around.
And they don't have to shift. And sometimes when they do shift, you still don't get what you want. Like I always think, for instance, and I know everybody won't agree with me on this, right? But like, I'm a church boy, like straight up. Like, I'm the guy. So I don't know if, like, you know, I'm sure there are other people who their parents grew up with, you know, making them go to church, right? So when you get old enough, you can drive. So there's this thing that church kids do where they listen to like whatever the secular music is, and like a block before they get home, they change it to the gospel station, right? I'm the weirdo that actually listened to the gospel music and brought it into the home. So I got a strong opinion about gospel music. And what'll happen is you'll have people who don't really traffic in or absorb gospel music will create gospel music. And it's not right. You know what I mean? Not right as in morally, but it's like they don't understand what it actually is. So someone who loves gospel music is like, nah. It's the same thing with any art form, right? You know, if somebody, you know, hip hop, somebody who's not immersed in hip hop culture that creates hip hop, it's gonna be inauthentic. Yep. It's just not. It's like, I see what you're trying to say, but nah. You know, so the same thing with you trying to make people create things for you when they have no desire to and they have no context. Even if they say, fine, here, you're not going to be happy with it.
Yep. I think that's the same as when you're an entrepreneur overall, and people see your brand and then they start telling you what you should add to your brand. And I've had that happen so many times since I've been an entrepreneur, and I'm like, no, you know,
right?
Simply because I had to, you know, and initially I would take on everything, every idea somebody else gave me, I would try to take it in and try to fix it or try to see where it could fit into my brand and my business. But then after a while, I realized this is exhausting. This is too much to try to continuously take what everybody wants for me to do for this brand and to adapt to what they want. No, how about you all adapt to what I'm giving? And so,
or don't adapt. Or stay
don't.
Over there, because there are people that are nuts about me. You know what I mean? And that is my market. Like, I think a lot of people feel that you need to be Walmart, right? So, you know, you can go to Walmart and you can get a thing of glue, a tire, a radio, and some Twizzlers. You can get at any time of day. That's what Walmart's for. And people try to be Walmart, but as a small business, it's so much better to be laser focused. And it's like, I do this one thing. So what you end up with is, instead of catching 1% of this large population, you catch 90% of this small population. And people don't realize that's much better.
Yeah. I think people just get used to being able to throw ideas out there, and when you tell them, no, that's not for me, they're offended. And it's like, how are you offended? This doesn't fit me.
Right.
This doesn't fit my brand. And better yet, this doesn't fit my message.
Yeah.
And my message doesn't say that that's what I do. I get it that you would like to see me present something like that, but at the same time, no.
Right. And like, I've learned, you know, as I've gotten older, like, not just I'm sorry or no with an explanation, just no.
Just no.
Yeah.
Just no. I think the other thing too is that when we are building and growing and learning about a business and our message and our brand, that we're working really hard sometimes to be accepted. And so once we see people are flocking to us, we kind of initially don't have the confidence to fully just give them just a no. And so we do give them that explanation. We do give them that, you know, well, this is why, and this, and this. But then afterwards, you have to just be okay with saying no.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So with you and all that you do, tell us about, what it's like to do boudoir photos for plus size women.
So I always say that I would rather have this, and this is with anything, right? Because, I act as well. And like one thing that people say is they use a term called overacting. And it's much better to be able to have too much and to pull back than to not have enough.
Mm-hmm.
So the great thing about working with plus size women is you may say, well, there's too much curve going on. Well, I can adjust for that. But if you don't have any, that makes my job that much harder. You know what I mean? So yeah. I thoroughly enjoy it. That's where I want to be for a couple reasons. One, I like it. I like the plus size form. It's great for me to work with. And then additionally, because it's ignored. So what I'll say is I used to live in Orlando, and they would have these huge scale photo shoots where they would bring in a bunch of photographers and then invite just pretty much a lot of local models. And once I kind of leaned into plus size imagery, I would ask my plus size friends, yo, you going to the shoot? And they'd be like, nah, I ain't going, because every time I go, nobody wants to shoot me. I'm like, what? Okay. And that kind of taught me that, okay, there's a whole segment of society that wants to be involved, wants to spend their money. And then there's people who are like, no, I don't want your money. And I don't want you to play on the playground. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to build a playground for you, and I'm happy to take your money, But yeah, it's crazy that, that's what's weird is the majority, especially in America, the majority of us would be billed as plus size. But for some reason, we push that around the corner and we don't want it to be seen, even though it's everywhere. It's the oddest thing.
Yeah. And then not just that it's everywhere, a good portion of women, since they have kind of changed the size chart, any woman a size 10 and up is considered plus size.
And yet, no, that's crazy. Right.
But yet, nobody wants to claim to be plus size. No one wants to claim to be full figured. No one wants to be, but then when we start getting acclaim and accolades and stuff from other people in other areas, then it's like, oh, let me praise the BBW. Oh, I'm a BBW too. And I used to hate that as a plus size woman, going and seeing women who were adamant about denying being a plus size woman or being a BBW or being a full figure woman or whatever term, they were adamant about denying it. But then when it seemed to be a wave of attention going towards plus size women and BBWs, then it's like, I'm a BBW too. And it's like, ma'am, I've known you for 10 years and you've never claimed to be a BBW plus size.
Never claimed that.
Curvy or any of that. But then all of a sudden when the wave shifts, now you want to use that label as well. And I always find that funny when it comes to just how people interact, and especially on social media.
That's what it is. It's that trying to catch some shine, because like I'll look up, sometimes I'll follow hashtags,
mm-hmm.
And I'll get, let's say I'll follow plus sexy, is one that I'll follow, and I'll get, new image posted. I'm like, she's not plus size, but people are trying to get attention. Basically, they're just trying to get eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll pick things that are close and try to get into these spaces where they're not qualified to be there, if you will, but that's like, that's the game. So, yeah.
And I think overall it has just become a game, it's no longer about who's really plus size or who's really, a BBW or anything like that. Like you said, it's about getting eyes on you. It's about getting the attention on you. And then,
well, you see the major companies, they'll market that, hey, we have plus size, and then they'll have a size 8 model or a size 10 model is what they showcase to people
then,
when they, yeah. Yeah.
And then when it comes to those things, when it comes to companies that say they have plus size or they carry plus size clothing or they have size, it's always funny to me because their definition of plus size is way off from what plus size actually is or what plus size women actually wear. So you go to a store that says they have plus size and you get a shirt and the body of the shirt is for plus size, but the arms of the shirt are nowhere near a plus size woman.
Yeah.
You know, and I always found that funny because I bought a 2X shirt or 3X shirt and the sleeves are like an extra large or a large or something on the shirt, and it's always hilarious to me, like, so
wow,
you all didn't take into account that a plus size body comes with plus size arms? Or...
And see, to circle back to what we were talking about before, these are people who they didn't want to do it. They got forced to do it, so they threw something out there that wasn't really it, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I just found it, like, hilarious. I was just...
Wow.
And I see it so often. And I've had people tell me, well, you should do plus size clothes because you always dress nice or you always seem to find, you know, nice clothes for plus size women. And I'm like, do you know how hard it is to find clothes for plus size women that fit accordingly?
Right.
I'm a plus size woman. I'm hippie and I have a small waist. My jeans never fit. So I stopped buying jeans. You know, so there are certain things or certain aspects of being a plus size woman that a lot of people don't really understand. And so I appreciate the fact that you said that you would rather use a plus size model because what's there is there, and then you can just take away instead of trying to add to.
And create.
And create something that's not there. So I appreciate that because that's another thing when it comes to having a photographer that takes pictures of plus size women. A lot of photographers don't know good angles for plus size women, or don't.
Right.
That's not their focus, or that's not their normal clientele. So when they do get a plus size woman, you can kind of tell that that's not something that they're used to.
And then, you know, like, because many plus size women are accustomed to being disrespected, you know, it's hard to get into a photo shoot when you know that the photographer is not digging you.
Yep.
You know, and I think that's what's so great, you know, with me. It's like they know, you know, off top, oh, he wants to work with me. So coming in the door, there is no, all right, is he one of these dudes that's going to, you know, be acting funny? Coming in the door, you know, because that's who I am and that's what I do, you know?
Yeah. And that's always, like, appreciated, you know, at the end of the day, it's always appreciated because, you know that there's a level of appreciation, you know, there's a level of respect and a level of love, so to speak, that comes from a photographer who knows what they're doing, how they're doing it, and how to capture your best. Not capture, you know, the half-ass picture and, you know, try to snap you real fast and then go ahead and get you out of there. You know, I think that is one of the worst things, and I have never experienced it because most of my photographers that I work with, they are plus size photographers. You know, they do have an appreciation for the plus size body. They do have an appreciation for us overall. So I think it's great to not have that experience that some plus size women have had when it comes to taking doing photo shoots or having their pictures taken.
And yeah, and that's even like my direction in terms of umbrella stock. You know, same deal where while it focuses on Black imagery, you know, plus side is also a part of that for me too. Pretty much, I like to say minority. That word gets watered down. But for me, minority means basically a lot of those segments of society that are ignored. You know, I try to make that a part of that. So even then, that's something that may be difficult to find. If you're a plus size woman and your brand is to plus size women, you want plus size imagery throughout, you know, and then of course the double, you're going to want Black and plus size.
Yep.
So you got to be able to put that together, and it has to be lifestyle. I say, so this is my theory. I have no proof. I have done no scientific research, but this is my opinion. Most photographers tend to be men, right? Most men tend to photograph women, you know, lingerie, swimwear, that type of stuff, and they don't focus on lifestyle imagery. So if that holds true across races, then you have Black men who are the majority of the photographic community, and they're still not creating lifestyle imagery. Excuse me. So when you go to look for lifestyle imagery, it's not there. There's a lot of pictures of people, of models and kind of people looking cute, but nothing of somebody just at their desk working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or somebody kicking back, drinking coffee, you know, and it's very model focused. And I think another thing I'm trying to gather with Umbrella Stock is I'm trying to pull in other contributors, other photographers and artists, because that's the other thing. When you're creating like these websites and these brochures, you don't always actually want a photograph. Yeah. Sometimes you want clip art. And I don't know that there's enough Black clip art. That's just true. Kind of illustrative works of Black people by Black people. You know what I mean? And I think that would be a great addition, you know, to the collection. So, and I'll make sure people have the information so that they can become contributors. You know?
Okay, great. I was just going to ask that. And something that you just said is that, that the Black art is by Black people. Because we have a lot of people that love creating photos of Black people or creating portraits or illustrations or paintings and things like that of Black people, but aren't Black people. And I think that's important. Not to say that other people shouldn't be able to take pictures or photograph or illustrations or paintings of Black people, because I do know some people that create beautiful art of Black people because they have an appreciation for Black people. But at the same time, a lot of us would like to support Black artistry and Black artists. But if we go to Amazon and we see a shower curtain that has a Black woman on it, and it's a really dope shower curtain because it's a Black woman, then sometimes we automatically think that it's by a Black person, and that's nearly not true. Like nearly 75 to 80% of the time, it's not actually, you know, stuff that's created by Black people. So I found, like, basically what you just said, I found that interesting, because even though we do have some artistry or some things out there that reflect our lives, it's not necessarily by us. It's not necessarily by us, but it's also not a fully true depiction of us either.
Yeah, sometimes it's difficult. It is definitely possible for someone to not be from a context, come into that context, sit, learn, understand, and then produce something that's authentic within that context. But of course, that's work. That's something that happens. Me, I'm Black. Day one, been that. So when I create, that's the mindset that I'm coming from. You know, so I think it's much easier and much more natural and much more real, you know. And if, as a Black person, if you're looking for that, you can find it. Like, for instance, my wife and I'm not trying to be hustle man, like you do everything. That's not the case. But my wife and I narrate audiobooks.
Oh, awesome.
And I know we hadn't talked about this, right? And what's funny is I don't think I was doing it at the time when we really talked. But so the through line with all of my work is to represent Black people accurately. So, like with the audiobooks, it's like you have a lot of Black authors that they would love to have an audiobook, but people can't read the stuff right because they're not Black.
Mm-hmm.
And they've not grown up there, so they don't speak the right way. You know, you'll have words or a turn of phrase, and it's like they're not familiar with that, so they're not gonna say that.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can you imagine? Like, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Kid says, "Mama want a PlayStation for Christmas." Mom responds, "I'll play your station. Go clean your room." You understand that, right? But if that were given to someone else, they might read it, but it's not like the way that you laughed. You understand that on a deep level.
Yeah,
They
very
might
much.
parrot the words back, but they don't get that because their mama never said that to them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's a totally different dynamic as far as attitude and the intent behind the words. So
Right.
when someone else is actually reading it and they said or done, then you're gonna get something totally different. So I definitely get it. So and that's fun. I'll play your station. Like literally.
Yeah.
That's literally something I could hear my mama saying, and that's why I laugh. Like in my head, like she probably said that to my brothers at some point in time back in the day.
Yep. And listen, that grammatical device works with almost everything.
It does. And so we know you do the photography. So tell us, what else you do? Like, I know you do the stock photos and you do the photography, the boudoir photography. But what else do you do? Tell us, a little more about some of your ventures, because I know there's a lot more to you. You just said you do record audiobooks, which I think is really dope. I would love to get into recording books for people, because a lot of people are putting out books, and I'm one of the people that is really helping to help people to write and self-publish their books. So I'm excited for that. And then just to hear you say you do the audiobook part, I'm like, oh my God, that's really dope. I didn't know that. So
yeah, you're a podcaster, so you're right next door. You got all the gear,
right?
You have a voice, you know how to do that. So yeah, you are my next door neighbor.
Right.
So like I said, the through line in my, I guess my approach to all of my work is making sure that Black people are represented accurately and properly. So I do that in the daytime, as it were, with my photography and my stock imagery. And I am leaning into creating more adult content so that I do the same thing at night, quote unquote.
Okay.
So I'm getting there, as far as creating it. But like one thing, and I know people like, especially, it's like I say, I'm a church boy, no question.
Mm-hmm.
When God told Adam and Eve to multiply the earth, he was specifically talking about sex. So if sex is God's idea, that's something that we shouldn't run away or hide away from as Christians, which is what I am. So I want to create content that reflects Black people accurately, because I mean, if you've ever looked, and nobody wants to admit it, but if you've ever looked on some of these sites at the content about Black people, it's degrading.
It's
as a matter of fact,
as hell. It is degrading as
listen,
hell.
that
Which
is
why
the.
I don't really watch it that much.
That's why, right? That is the last place where racism is okay. Where you actually have these really ridiculous stereotypes about Black people that are used as a part of the pornography. You know what I mean? So, like, that's something that I want to be a part of changing that too. Like, hold on. There are Black people that enjoy adult content. They shouldn't have to dig through the trash to find something that is not overtly insulting. You know what I mean? Same thing, even they're not Black people, but like you say, my two spaces are Black people and plus size women. And plus size women is another place where it's really degrading, and they find ways they fetishize it and ridiculize, if I can make that a word, plus size women in the same space. And unnecessary.
It really
yeah.
is. I think when it comes down to the adult entertainment, they don't realize that adult entertainment without it being degrading. Adult entertainment
Doesn't have to be.
could be two people making love. Like, although that might not arouse some people, but just being able to see two people making love would be a great thing, because we see enough of people being degraded or downplayed or beaten or abused and things like that on TV regularly. So the only difference between regular TV and the adult industry is the fine line of nudity. So
for the most part,
that's pretty much it. And so even when it comes down to watching shows on TV nowadays, you don't even really get to enjoy the show without seeing some type of interaction between people that becomes somewhat degrading or insulting to an extent, you know, because there's always the big black woman that's waving a finger and has the attitude, you know. It's always the big black woman that has the attitude.
Right.
Or, you know, there's undertones of things when you watch shows as well. Like, there's always, and not to get into the whole racial thing, but there are the undertones where there's the light-skinned friend and the dark-skinned friend, or the skinny friend and the fat friend, and then there's always the undertones of what's normally played out or what they think the norm is between those friends or between that relationship with those people. So it's always just questionable to me, especially when it comes to the adult industry. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I recently tried to payment and I just could not. I was like, I don't get it. I don't understand it anymore. Like, when I was younger, I would watch, you know, a few clips here and there, but now I just cannot get into adult entertainment at all in any shape, form, or fashion, simply because the titles in themselves.
The titles. That's true. That's true. I'll tell you this, and what kind of changed my perspective. So, I mean, you know, as a young man, of course, I looked at a lot, you know, and just, I didn't think about it. I just looked at it and I enjoyed it. And that was that, you know. But I think as I got older and getting into a space where I am working with women in a sexy place, but I'm staying neutral and respectful, I think I kind of got to see that differently, right? And it's always funny talking to, like, my other guy friends, like, bruh, how you? It's like, it's work. It's not even that, you know. And I came across this, now I'm gonna call her a filmmaker because that is exactly what she is, right? And you can check it out and you can look when you're done. Her name is Erica Lust, and she doesn't make pornography so much as adult short films. And when I say short films, like, beautifully lit, the camera work is solid. Like, her work is on par with anything you've seen on TV or on the big screen. It's just, it's unapologetically adult content. It's sex, it's pornography, but it's really well done. And I'm like, why can't we do that? Like, I would even say did you watch Insecure?
Yes.
Just the lighting and just their approach to that, you know, to a lot of the sex scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
Really, like, for us, that's a step up in terms of how we're normally depicted and how that stuff is normally done, you know? And, like, that's the space that I want to be in, where, you know, you can see, because normally you want to see, I mean, you know, everybody has their things that they like, but at some point you probably do want to see something that looks like you or something that you could or would do. So as Black people, we want to see, well, okay, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there, but what looks like me where I can put myself into that space, which, you know, a lot of people do that with pornography. So you want to say, okay, where am I in this?
Yeah.
And And for a lot of us, we can't find us, and I think we can find us in a way that could be respectful, and empowering.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. I think, based off what you said, as far as like from the Christian aspect, I think one of the things that they don't really do is teach that sex is empowering.
It's God's idea, and that's not my quote. That's Michael Todd said that, and that I was blown away when he said that. Like, well, yeah. Why are we hiding it and acting like, oh no, it's hush hush, it's quiet, it's dirty, we can't talk about it? Well, who made it?
Yeah, like it's empowering, but also it's empowering to know that your body is capable of those things, but also to know that you deserve someone that is going to care and love for you in a way that God loves you. You know what I'm saying? And so looking at it from that aspect, it doesn't come off as taboo or dirty or anything like that. Like you can literally have that conversation with your younger generation of people that are coming up, and let them know that this can be beautiful. This can be wonderful. This can be a loving experience. This can be an experience that, in the long run, you'll appreciate your body. You'll appreciate their body. And you'll be able to show that appreciation to one another. You know what I'm saying? Instead of making it like, oh my God, no, we're not talking about it. But even if you aren't talking to them about it, they're talking to their friends about it. They're seeing it on TV. And so because you lack
and they're getting bad, and they're seeing bad pornography.
Yeah.
They're getting bad pornography that's giving them a bad idea.
Yep, and they're getting bad information. I just know when I was coming up, and that was the thing. My friends were having sex and talking about all these wonderful things and talking about the way they experience sex. And when I finally experienced it, I was like, oh.
Right.
This what y'all was talking about? I could have waited for this.
Right, and you didn't know, right? For this, And nobody talked to you and explained, because I'm a big fan. Just even like I've been pushing to really be like, I always let people know, in terms of church and like marriage ministries. I'm like, I'll talk about sex, because I'm not gonna cut corners and try to hint at things. No, let's talk about specific things. Let's talk about where things are. Let's get a map. You push this happens. It's like anything else. Like, like when you, they don't do driver's ed anymore. But when they did driver's ed, they told you what every button and every function of the car. So when you push this happens. You got people who are miserable in relationships just because people don't know where things are. Mm-hmm. And they've never pushed a button or never done anything. And not only did they not do it, they didn't know they had to or that they could. Yeah. I look at sex like, and the way that most people approach sex, it's like you got a car in a garage and you tell your kid, we're not going to talk about the car in the garage. You don't go in the garage and look at the car. Nothing. You don't look at magazines with cars. You ride when we walk. We ain't riding nowhere. You have nothing to do with the car. But then when the kid turns 18, you give them the keys and say, I need you to drive me to California. What? And that's our approach, because, even in church, there's no talk about marriage. But then your marriage night, they be like, knock it out the park, Doc. How am I knock it out the park? I don't even know what it is.
Yeah. And then, like you said, there are so many people out here unsatisfied in relationships and in marriages simply because of that. Because no one talked to them, no one had that conversation with them, and then when they finally did have sex, it became, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna just do what I think is right or what I think is supposed to happen, and
you don't do that with anything else. Everything else, you educate yourself before you do it. You understand the concept, and then you do your best. But at least you have an understanding.
Yeah. And then when it comes down to just sex in general, as far as the knowledge that's out there or the information that's available to us, a lot of us choose not to pay attention to that information as well. There are so many contradictory situations where you can tell people do not read. There's so many things I see on social media constantly. Like one of the posts that kind of sticks out to me was that there was a guy saying that it's gay for a man to wash his butt.
Right. I've heard. I think I've heard that recently. That right, and a lot of guys are in dire straits in terms of that because they're just not.
And I'm like, sir, so it's gay for you to wash your own body, like your own body. Like it's not like you're it's not like you're out here washing somebody else's butthole, but you're washing your own butthole, and it's gay. Like how is that? Like
it's ridiculous.
And the world has become so homophobic that everything outside of anything that, you know, that's done between a man and a woman, or even some things that are done
done between a man and a woman,
that are done between a man and a woman are considered gay. And I'm like, I don't understand this. How?
There's no right. There's a man and a woman. How can anything possibly be gay?
and it's to me, it's always eye rolling. Like my eyes roll so hard a lot of times, simply because it's like, are you serious? Like, are we really this ignorant? And then the flock of people that agree.
Yeah.
Like, are we serious? Like, are we seriously agreeing to something of this nature that's not even true? That's not even like plausible? Like, do you understand how unsanitary that is? That you choose not to wash your own behind, and
you don't itch. You ain't itching, bro.
I was just gonna say, you're probably somebody who barely wipes it because you think it's gay.
Oh, come on.
And then you're probably one of the first type of men who wants a woman to perform oral sex on you, sir.
Right.
No.
Right.
Sir. No, sir. No, thank you. No way. No how. See you. Okay? No.
Yeah.
And then there are women who agree to some of these things, and I question them as women. Like, are you not aware of the infections and all of those kind of things that take place when your partner isn't clean, when your partner isn't sanitary? So
right, because they're putting something dirty inside of you. That's true. That's true.
And you know, I can go on and on about the things I've seen on Facebook when it comes down to intercourse and things. But some of the same people who swear those things are unnecessary don't even understand the importance of washing your hands or your mouth before engaging in those kind of things with your partner. That's not just self-care, that's care for your partner as well. So
yeah,
you know, if a person isn't willing to go wash their hands and their mouth before performing anything on you sexually, then they don't really care for you.
Right.
And a lot of people are afraid to stop someone and say, hey, I need you to go do that for me because I need my body to be
safe.
Yeah, safe. And I need my health to be on point. I need my pH to be on point, you know. And so it's just craziness that how far gone a lot of us are without recognizing how far gone we really are. But we could talk about that another day.
Indeed. But yeah, like I say, I am so passionate about just making sure that Black people, you know, have good information and positive imagery about themselves when the sun is up and when the sun is down, you know?
Yeah. It's necessary because there are so many ways for us to get off of track and so many ways for us to not have the right information. And again, those that we live in a time where information is plentiful, but not all of it is truthful.
No, it's not. I feel bad. Like, I don't want to be rude, but pretty much anybody in my life who's like over 60, if they send me a video on Facebook, I normally don't look, because it's like, it's normally false. It's normally, especially like with this whole coronavirus thing going on, that like they will embrace something that some rando sent to them on Facebook, but reject information from the World Health Organization, the CDC. That's disregarded. Look at what this lady sent me this video. Like, it's so much bad information out there, and people can't tell. Matter of fact, I think, forget just bad information. Sometimes there's satirical information, like it's purposely false because they think it's funny. And I understand satire, but a lot of my older people in my life don't. So they'll repost things, and I got to tell them, hey, this is not true. Not that I disagree with it. If you go to this person's site, they'll tell you it's basically just kidding. I just said this because I just wanted to be ridiculous. You know what I mean? But they don't get that subtlety, and there's so much out there, and people don't get what's hard now is you're responsible for your own research. Yeah. And you can't just say, well, I heard. And I think people think that they confuse Facebook for news or for a dictionary or an encyclopedia. I tell people, the crazier it sounds, you better go look. If it's only on one site, it's probably not true that George W. Bush got into a fight with Samuel L. Jackson and beat him up. Like, if you see that, but you don't see it on like CNN, it's probably not true. Right.
Yeah. And just outside of that,
somebody gonna go searching for that when this podcast drop out. But anyway, go ahead. What? I heard that.
I didn't hear that.
George W. Bush got hands. What?
Uncle Sam was out here fighting somebody.
Oh man.
I just really think what you're doing is great as far as being able to give Black people a way to see us in a different light. When it comes to, TV shows and things like that, even some of the things that are written by us are just like cringeworthy. When it comes down to the reality shows, which aren't reality.
Yeah, now that. Now we'll tell you. Yeah, that's a lot of that is foolishness. Yeah. I've come to a new understanding of a lot of the Black movies that came out in the 90s. So the so-called gangster movies like Menace to Society and stuff like that. I think there was a point where we felt like that's bad and we shouldn't look at that because it makes us look bad. And I no longer believe that. Because when you watch mob movies, you can watch all the seasons of Sopranos and never walk away feeling like, man, they really misrepresented Italians. Yeah. It's just good TV. Menace to Society is an amazing film, and I don't have to feel like it's a representation of me in my life.
Yeah. Or
it's just a fictional
of all
story.
Black people. Yeah.
Nope. It's just a good movie because we don't mind anybody else being depicted that way. And I would rather a good story than trying to shoehorn positive messages of Blacks into everything. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we could be a villain too.
Yeah.
And great. I love that. Matter of fact, I think that was my favorite thing about Black Panther. The fact that, now we're not going to go too far into this, but I am a comic book aficionado, right? So when they introduced who the villain was for Black Panther in the second Avengers movie, I was like, okay, I see that. He gonna be in Black Panther. I knew that already. When they showed up, the white guy, not Killmonger, Claw. When Killmonger killed Claw, I was like, we don't even need white villains.
Yeah.
Like, the hero is Black and the villain is Black. And I loved that, and it's like, yes, this is our world, our life. So let's do what we do, and we don't need anyone else to do it. And I just love that concept, and I think we can make great art without trying so hard to
Include everybody.
yeah, or avoid stereotypes. Like I even love the fact that the Jabari tribe was in Black Panther. They're gorillas. But like, we don't care if y'all call us apes and gorillas. Apes and gorillas are in Africa. It makes sense that they will connect, with that in terms of people who love the earth and respect nature. Absolutely. You know what I mean? That's like Black people who like, well, I don't want to eat watermelon. Do you like watermelon?
Then
Eat it.
Right.
If you like fried chicken, eat it. You think that all this fried chicken that's being sold in the United States, that it's just Black people eating it? Right. Stop it. Stop it.
And just to kind of be a little hilarious, when I first saw Black Panther, and I was like, but where the fat girls at? And I was where the poor girls at it? So we don't make it to Wakanda or what? And I was like, I only saw one chunky chick, and she was like 80. Like,
right?
Did it make it to Wakanda or what? So that was my whole. I actually did a video. I actually did a video on Facebook when I first saw Black Panther, and that was my little rant. Like, so were we not? I mean, did we not make it to Wakanda? Because big girls can fight too. We can fight. We might not be able to run as fast, but we can fight.
Listen, I know I am slow as dirt. I know a lot of fat people that can outrun me any day. So, matter of fact, I always tell people I have to fight, because if I run, I'm gonna waste energy and not get away. So if it's time to fight, ain't no running. Let's fight, because I ain't spending energy trying to run slow as I am. No.
And then I thought that was just funny, And so after I saw Black Panther, like, I still appreciated the overall movie in itself for what it was, but I just thought that was funny. And since we're talking, since we're talking about representation, I thought that was one of the things that that was funny to me when I saw the movie. I think the one lady that was there, she was the one tending to the garden or something.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And after that, I just thought it was funny. But when it comes down to you and your photos and your audiobooks, what else do you do? Like, I know there's a plethora of talents and gifts over there. So
no, that's the majority of it. I mean, I'm a father. I have 5 children, so it's we're definitely we're doing school at home, right? Which actually we actually did homeschool for about 6 months to a year, a couple years ago. And that's always where my heart is, to do homeschool anyway. So I'm not one of them parents that's like, oh my gosh, this is awful. They need to get these kids up out of here. I'm fine. Yeah. I'm good with that. I actually want to, what am I saying? Yeah, there's work that I want to do at home that's difficult for me to do because my kids are home. But I don't have a problem with them being here. Yeah. So yeah, my wife and we just celebrated our 14th anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
Hey, we need to do over though, because we couldn't go nowhere.
You couldn't go nowhere, right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So being at home and being a father of 5 girls, right?
No, 4 girls and a boy.
4 girls and a boy. Okay. 4 girls and a boy. Oh, bless your heart. Because it's only 2 men in the household. Bless your heart.
Right. I told you. Remember before we called, I told you, because my wife does the hair. So since she does it, I shampoo and wash it, condition it, and dry it.
Okay. Okay.
Teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work. And especially if you got girls with long hair. Bless your heart.
That's a lot for her. Yeah, she has a lot of hair to do. We got one of them has locks, so that does make it a little bit easier.
Okay. Because I know I was a handful by myself, because my hair was down my back when I was a little girl, and so full thick hair down my back, and I hated getting it washed and combed, and
fussing and fighting.
Yeah, I think my mom hated to do it just as much as I hated it getting it done. And then as I got older, the responsibility shifted to my sister, and that was really a fight, because my sister and I were like cats and dogs when we were younger, and when it came to doing my hair, it was like, sis, listen, we just
Right.
gonna have to fight because you're not finna comb my hair. So I send my kudos to you and wifey for tending to 3 heads regularly, because that is not a joke. So tell the people how to kind of connect with you and get in touch with you to be a part of, your photo shoots, or even to take use of your stock photos.
Okay, indeed. So, and a couple things to consider, right? So, looking at where we are and where the world is right now, in terms of coronavirus, a lot of us are at home. So, a lot of models are like, man, I can't get out and do more shoots to put out more content. And that is difficult. What I've been offering, if you're a model or if you're an agency, right, and you have a stable of models and you normally put out tons of content and you find yourself at a standstill, if you have unedited content, and that's photo or video, you can send that to me. We can edit it. And basically you would have old content. It's old to you, but it'll be new to everyone else because it was never seen, because it hasn't been edited.
Okay.
So yeah, I handle that through A Sharp Photo.
Okay.
So yeah, you can email me at curator@asharpphoto.biz. So that's curator@asharpphoto.biz. If you have content that you're like, man, I got to get this content out there, but it's unedited, and that's not what I do. I do retouching, So also, if you are a creator, so let's say you do photography, or you create, you draw, or anything like that, I am looking for contributors to grow this collection at Umbrella Stock so that people can have access to great images of Black people and Black life without having to dig so hard and dig everywhere else. So if you go to umbrellastock.com/vendor-sign-up-form, then you can sign up there, and then we'll get you set up so that you can start contributing content. Here's the great thing about it. So most sites like Shutterstock will pay you generally about 25 cents for an image. Now there's a variance, because depending on what type of image people buy, you may get paid more. But the majority of the images you get paid for are about between 25 and 50 cents per image.
Oh, wow.
I'm not doing that. Yeah, and it's cool because it's passive income. I'm a big believer in passive income, right? Any money you can make while you're sleeping is great money, right? But still, it's only so much. With Umbrella Stock, I pay contributors 60% of whatever sells. So I'm not giving you a tiny portion. You're adding to the library. If it sells because I don't have the same overhead in the same way that Shutterstock does, I can give you 60%. So that's great. So you drive traffic, you put your collection on it, you say, hey, go over here, get my stuff, and that way you start getting money that you did something once, and then you continue to get paid for it.
Right.
So yeah. So, and if you have questions, you can email me at creator@umbrellastock.com. So yeah. And then, if you are an author, I think it's wise to not leave money on the table. And, having an audiobook is a different stream. To be honest, I'm a reader, but because I got kids and I'm so busy, the only books that I sit down, physical books to read, are comic books. I try to knock out a book or two a month, and it's an audiobook. So like, I'm not even just saying, oh yeah, audio. No, I'm one of those people. If I'm driving in a car, I'm reading an audiobook. In the shower, I take my little Bluetooth speaker and put it on the shelf and listen to it while I take a shower.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So my wife and I do it. So if you need a male voice or a female voice or both, you can email us at voices@ghostreaders.com. So
super dopeness. I truly appreciate you for giving us, your time and the information, and giving us your gifts, giving the world your gifts, because there's so many people who could choose not to give the world the gifts that they were blessed to bring to the world. A lot of people are blessed with gifts but choose not to use them or don't know the power that they have by using those gifts. So
True.
definitely thank you for using your gifts, sharing them with
Thank
the world,
you.
and being willing to share them with me.
Absolutely. I'm honored.
And being here talking to me about everything that you do. My goal is to always help the next person to reach a bigger, broader audience. So I'm hopeful that once we drop this episode, that you'll be able to kind of see an influx of people coming your way with content to go on the site, ways for you to read their audiobooks, or even to take photos of them. Because I'm
in South Florida, but I travel.
Okay,
I was gonna
say I'm definitely gonna make my way to Florida soon. I plan to try to come to Florida in September, just depending on how all of this is going on right now.
Right.
So
that would be cool.
Yeah, depending on how all this is going, I plan to be in Florida in the beginning of September. But I would love to connect, do a shoot.
Come on, let's get some body paint on you. That's one thing I love. Have you seen the stuff I do with the metallic body paint?
No, not recently. I'm gonna have to check it out.
I haven't. I've done it with smaller women. I'm dying to do that with a plus size woman because I've not seen that.
I am here for it. I am a woman that is willing to kind of go and push the envelope when it comes to what I do as far as photo shoots. Yeah. I can do subtle, I can do business, I can do creative. And that's what I love to do. But as far as like pushing the envelope, let's go. I'm willing.
Let's do it.
I'm sure the fans would love to see it, so we definitely would love to do it.
You got to give the people what they want.
Yeah, it's people have requested certain images of me, or sent me like, I think you would look dope doing this. I think you would look dope doing a photo shoot like this. And I'm like,
let's talk about it. Let's make it happen.
Some things aren't my steez, but if it's tastefully, artistically done, then of course I'll do it. Because in all things, you still want to have a level of respect for yourself as well as those that you service with your business. So I'm open and ready to push the envelope. So definitely some metallic body paint. I am here for it. Okay.
Indeed.
And can you give the people like how to follow you on social media and things like that as well before we get out of here?
Yes. So, for my photography, it's at A Sharp Photo everywhere. Okay. For umbrella stock, it's when how it goes when you come up with something, it's not everywhere. But if you go to umbrellastock.com, you can go to the site and then you can follow all of my stuff there. Okay. On Instagram, it's Umbrella Stock Images. Okay. And Twitter, it's U Stock Images. Yeah. Still working on the audiobook stuff as far as the social media stuff. But you can see if you go to ghostreaders.com, you'll see it's under construction. But yeah, we're getting there. And as far as the adult content, that is a work in progress. I do have a name. It's Moxie Visions. I'm telling you so that at least you know what to look for. And that's something I plan to build out this year for sure.
Okay. And then let me know, because I know a few people that are in the adult entertainment industry. And
awesome.
Your way. When you're ready to get that up and in motion. I know quite a few people that are in the adult industry, whether it's dancing, whether it's videos or anything like that. I know quite a few people that are in that industry. So I'm pretty sure that they would love to have some imagery that is tastefully done or that represents them in a not so degrading light.
Good stuff. And if anybody who's in, the adult industry now, with this whole situation, if you have content that's not processed, and you want to, get some stuff out to your OnlyFans or your Patreon or what have you, that's something we can talk about. So again, you can email me at curator at asharpphoto.biz, and we can at least get your content up to the level where you feel comfortable, getting it out to your subscribers.
All right, all right, all right. Well, thank you again, Michae, for coming on, talking with
Thank
us,
you,
giving
Leo.
us your dopeness. And then I will be chatting with you sooner than later. And we'll get together on some ideas for a shoot for September.
Yay, this is amazing. I enjoyed doing what I do on the Fat Girl Chronicles.
Hey, appreciate you. Have a good one, love.
You too. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.